Unfortunately, catastrophic situations have a way of making you evaluate or even reevaluate some of your business practices and your current business model to position you so that you can, in fact, move forward and do so successfully. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first time, welcome. And I do hope you take the opportunity to go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can get the alerts for all things entrepreneurship, edupreneurship, business, life, you name it. With this particular video, I wanted to take the opportunity to discuss how Hurricane Milton caused me to reevaluate my current business model as well as my business practices. In addition to that, it also really emphasized the importance of cultivating streams of passive income. With regards to my business, I already have multiple streams of income, so that is definitely not the issue. The issue is all of the streams of income that I have for my business can be halted as a result of some natural disasters, such as Hurricane Milton. For example, one of the things that I do meet with clients. Some of my clients, of course, come in the form of tutoring. And a lot of the tutoring that I do is face-to-face. And my students actually have increased comprehension when I provide that face-to-face support as opposed to doing it online. When Milton hit, or even the threat of it hitting, and of course, we all saw the track, we saw that it was forecasted to hit the Tampa Bay area directly. It did hit slightly south, but because it was a Category 3, it was rather catastrophic, unfortunately. So even in the days in preparation for the storm, business came to a halt because we're putting shutters on our windows. We're putting up our backyard furniture or patio furniture so that these things do not become projectiles in the midst of a Category 3 storm. You're going out shopping, you're buying water, you're buying non-perishable items, you're purchasing all of the things that you need to be able to get through not only the storm, but also to really survive the aftermath of it as well, because you don't know how things are going to be after the storm. And that's pretty much what I, along with hundreds of thousands of other people, went through as a result of this, especially as small business owners. So I want to first start off by giving you a little bit of context in terms of what happened. So we were hit last Wednesday. So right now it is Thursday following the storm. So this has been a little over a week since Hurricane Milton actually hit our area. So when it hit, it was not pleasant by any means. And actually, my husband and I evacuated to my parents' house. So thank you again to my parents for just allowing us to, really ride out the storm with them. That was really cool. And when you're dealing with a hurricane, it's not kind of a one and done thing. And I know, typically there are storms that are, and they are very catastrophic, but it's something that you can go into or that you're going through for several hours. And that's the way it was. You are going through this storm for several hours. So it takes several hours worth of rain, wind, and it's doing severe damage in many ways. There were people who had property damage. There were people who had damage to their other belongings and so forth due to flooding, due to those water intrusions that may not be the height of, the severe flooding that we sometimes see. So we're dealing with this. After the storm, ran its course, now my parents we were blessed enough, of course, staying with them, they lost power for 4 hours. However, my husband and I, in our home, we lost power for 5.5 days. So in that process, you've lost your food, like all of it had to be tossed. In addition to that, just kind of being displaced, have to reorient yourself and really, figure out how to work from a different location, which in my case was my parents' house, and so forth. In addition to that, I, of course, own my own business, and I've got it structured now to where if I don't work, then I don't get paid. That's why passive income is so critical to my business and to other businesses that are similar to mine that rely very heavily on consultations or providing some form of service to individuals so that you're generating various streams of income. Now, my husband, although he does work for a company, he does not get paid if he doesn't work. And unfortunately, if he doesn't work and if he wants to get a paycheck, he has to utilize his vacation days to do that. So during those hurricane days, I don't even know if he had vacation days that he could use. And what I find to be so disappointing about his company is the fact that his company has already been paid, per their contract for the services that my husband provides and also the services that his colleagues provide to the location or the post where they provide security services. But the company actually keeps the money. They don't pay it out to the security officers who provide those services. So when those security officers are not working, they don't get paid. My husband was compensated for the 1 day of work that he worked that last week. I know a lot of companies are kind enough to actually compensate their employees when you go through a storm or during a natural disaster. In fact, when I worked for the previous college that I worked for, they actually provided us with administrative pay when we had these hurricane days. So even though we were not working, we still got a paycheck, and it provided us with an opportunity to be able to recover a lot quicker. So just providing you with the backstory in terms of how that all came about. So just wanted to provide you with the backstory of that and the gist of it and the context and the why behind this whole video. So fast forward to after Milton. Milton is gone. It's the next day. The storm has now moved on, but we are left with the aftermath of this storm. As I mentioned, there were millions of people without power. And like I said, it wasn't just thousands, it wasn't hundreds, millions of people without power. So if you take the ratio of the number of workers, line workers who were restoring power, which was approximately 6,600 line workers, in addition to the flooding, in addition to signs that had fallen into power lines. Actually, there's a gas station not too far from where we live where the winds were so severe that the sign had actually broken and it fell into a power line. So then you're having to work out the logistics of situations like that in terms of how to go about restoring power. So you have millions of people without power. And then by that time, if you're without power, that means your perishable foods, because we all, and many other storms, were blessed to keep our power. During Helene, we kept our power. Even Hurricane Ian from a couple of years ago, we kept our power. I think it maybe went out just a little bit, but it wasn't enough to destroy our food. So you're dealing with the aftermath of that where you've lost your food. So you're down to your perishable items. You're having to get really creative with how you go about cooking your food. So you'll have a lot of people who are grilling their perishable foods, your meats, even your veggies, I would imagine. So you're having to get really creative with that. Also, you're trying to find public places that have power, because for us, even now, some of our public libraries still are not open because they don't have power. Some of our schools are not open because they don't have power. So having to navigate that is a challenge in and of itself. In addition to that, you're running out of food, and then you're having to buy food pretty much on a day-by-day basis, because when you don't have power, you don't have anywhere cold to store it unless you put it on ice, which again, you would have to buy enormous amounts of ice, because at this point, when you're going into like days 2 and 3 without power, then ice, of course, is going to start to melt. On top of all of that, there's a gas shortage. So when people were evacuating, they were told, and rightfully so, gas up your cars and go ahead and evacuate. And millions of people did, in fact, evacuate. In fact, I even filled up my car. I did not evacuate out of state. We went to my parents' house, which again, they're a little bit more north and they're inland compared to where we're located. We still got the brunt of the storm. It's just we didn't deal with a lot of the flooding that came with the storm surges. So I remember with Hurricane Ian, how hard it was to find gas after the storm. So I was like, I know I'm not evacuating, but let me just top off my gas real quick. And I'm so glad that I did, because my husband, in order for him to find gas, he actually had to travel like 18 miles away from where my parents live. And he was able to get gas. Otherwise, there were lines, and these lines were miles long. People were growing increasingly frustrating. Some were getting a little bit violent. And as a result of that, we had sheriff's deputies, state troopers, local police departments who had to escort gas trucks to the specific gas stations that they were going to. So it was like some Hunger Games type of stuff that was going on after this storm. And in addition to that, you're also having to figure out, how am I supposed to run my business? I have no money coming in right this moment. I've budgeted my money out, to the hilt, to ensure that my bills are paid, to ensure that, household bills are taken care of, other needs, food, water, shelter, your basic needs and so forth. So what do you do in those instances? Milton was my aha moment. It was my wake up call. It was, okay, I really need to go back and reevaluate my business model to see what different streams of income I can generate that are passive, number one. And secondly, to where if things get grueling, or if we're hit with another natural disaster, which prayerfully that does not happen anytime soon, but it allows my business to continue to function and to continue to run, so that if somebody in another part of the country has blue skies and sunshine and rainbows, they'll be able to partake of the products or the information or whatever entity it is that I created that is essentially passive. So that was one heck of a wake-up call, but I am extremely motivated at this point, and I just see how critical it is for business owners, entrepreneurs such as myself, to position ourselves to where we're not financially bankrupt as a result of a natural disaster. So I gave you a little bit of background about the storm, its impact, the fact that we are all still in recovery mode. We're doing a lot better, but there's been significant impact of this storm. It brings me to my key point of the importance of passive income. So by definition, and this is a very loose definition of passive income, typically you put in the work up front. So it doesn't mean that you're not having to put in any work whatsoever with certain types of passive income. Now, other types of passive income, such as stocks or high yield savings accounts, really involve you just putting money in a specific place and allowing it to accrue or basically generate some form of interest. But when you have assets, digital products, when you have ebooks, online courses, things of that nature, these are typically things that require upfront work. So you're putting in the work. You're not going to see an immediate return on your investment in the beginning. But once you finish this product and it's in its production state, it's been launched, then you're starting to see the return on your investment, the return on the time you invested, maybe the money that you invested. So you're generating passive income in that regard. One thing I've also learned is that when you have passive income and when you have multiple passive income streams, then it positions you and your business to sustain good financial and physical health. Because I just took for granted, because I had multiple streams of income for my business. And I also, even though I have my business, I do have my side hustle where I sell stuff online, mainly shoes, but I sell stuff online. And one of my chief platforms that I utilize is Poshmark. And I kid you not, that Monday, right before we got our evacuation notice, I shipped out a pair of shoes, and that was the last bit that I could focus on that particular aspect. So with that, it brings in a good amount of money for me as well. That had to come to a halt because, again, you're not able to promote things online. It's the last thing on your mind, to be honest with you. The first thing on your mind is the well-being, safety, and just praying that nothing catastrophic happens to where you or anyone you love loses their life. That's like top priority. And then you're not really focusing on, of course, some of those business components. It's the aftermath where you're like, okay, now I need to get my life back together. Now I need to get back on track. And what steps do I need to take in order to do that? Passive income helps alleviate that stress that comes with the face-to-face meetings that are required, or even if you have a Zoom meeting, or if you're providing consultations or support to your clients online via Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet. That's all well and good, but what happens when you don't have power? What happens when you don't have Wi-Fi? And in addition to that, you may think, oh, well, I'll just go to Starbucks, or I'll just go to a public library. What if they don't have power? Because that was the situation here. Typically, our go-to places where we would travel to in order to utilize their services ain't have power. Now, I do know that people were going to grocery stores and to hardware stores to recharge their phones and devices, but that's so that they can make emergency phone calls and so forth. Because again, battery life and utilizing, your phone or whatever as a hotspot, that's only something that's a temporary fix. It's not something that is a sustainable solution. So now I have taken some action steps to make sure that I am creating products and possibly services that will generate multiple streams of passive income for me. One of the things that I was already working on, I was actually working on an online course for grant writing. It's one of my strengths. It's something that I enjoy doing, and I love consulting as it relates to providing support to nonprofit organizations, as well as, for-profits where there are grant opportunities, and helping people with regards to the format and so forth, all those details that help you to be successful in grant writing. So I had started working on the course. I am now even more motivated than ever to not only work on the course, but finish it and upload it. Because if anything happens, not just a natural disaster, a hurricane or whatever, but if anything happens to where I cannot meet with the client, or if a meeting gets canceled or it has to be rescheduled, my overall financial health and well-being does not suffer as a result of it, because I have a contingency plan at this point. Another thing, I am going to be emphasizing my digital products as well as the books that I've written most recently. Another thing that I'm going to focus on are the creation of digital products, as well as the books that I have written most recently. I have written 2 children's books, and I have been working on and mapping out various digital products that can go along with these children's books, as well as curriculum, things of that nature. Again, the urgency now for these products has increased because I now see how critical it is and how important it is to not only have the multiple streams of income, but to also have multiple streams of passive income. In addition to that, just the importance of being consistent with creating content that is going to support my clients, that will support the students that I work with, as well as the individuals that I work in collaboration with and so forth. These are some really important things that I am now focusing on that will yield some form of passive income, as well as utilizing my website as a hub, as an information space to engage in affiliate marketing. Many of you know that I am also a part of the Amazon Associates program. So these are all really good examples of ways that you can generate passive income so that you're not solely reliant upon you physically doing the work in that moment in order for you to get some sort of check. So I'm saying all this to say that if you have not done so already, I strongly encourage you to take the opportunity to go ahead and start making a list of the ways that you can create digital products, that you can also create videos, whether it's an ebook, a course, something that will enable you to post something online where somebody can purchase, maybe even a subscription service that is related to your business. And it allows the opportunity for that income to come in on a regular basis, whether you have your clients in place or not, whether you're meeting with them or not. Your business becomes sustainable because you have these digital products, or because you have a subscription product that is in alignment with your business. So these are some things that you'll want to consider with your business as well. So a question you could be asking yourself is, well, what do I do in order to determine what type of passive income I should generate? Well, consider what your business is. Consider what you do on a regular basis. What are your strengths? What are you good at? What areas of expertise do you have? And then utilize those areas of expertise to create digital content, worksheets. Maybe it's a worksheet to help someone through how to purchase their first home, or how to get their finances in order to purchase their first home. So locate your area of expertise in order to determine what type of digital products that you can create that will generate passive income for you, or even a course that you can create, that you can upload, that people would be interested in, that something that they're wanting to learn more about. Another thing that is really, I think, phenomenal for educators is that there is a need for supplemental and supportive education for students. I do a lot of tutoring with my students. I love it. I enjoy, the one-on-one. I enjoy the small group tutoring and so forth. And I'm noticing that a lot of times I'll create worksheets, because even though they have their textbooks from school and they have other supplementary type books and booklets that they can use, sometimes I can just think of something that I can create. I was like, oh, and I'll have an idea for a worksheet, and I create the worksheet and, utilizing my imagination. And that is so common among teachers. As a teacher, you're naturally creative. So utilize that creative gift and that talent to be able to create worksheets and so forth. You will see people on Etsy. And for those who are teachers, Teachers Pay Teachers, that's another good website that you can go to post your work and get paid for it. And meanwhile, you're generating additional income, passive income, and so forth. And it helps to supplement what you're already earning, even if you don't own a business. It's just, something that's good to have. Another thing that I did mention was affiliate marketing. Of course, my affiliate marketing of choice right now is Amazon Associates. So utilizing that as a way to leverage what you already have in your business, but to also recommend products that are high quality that you, in fact, utilize yourself. So utilizing your social media, your videos, and so forth as an opportunity to generate that passive income. Those are all strategies that you can easily weave into your already existing business and make some tweaks to your business model. It's nothing major. It's just something that's going to ensure that you have increased financial stability, because after the whirlwind that we went through with this storm, it really gave me the opportunity to stop and think about what changes I needed to make to my own business model so that moving forward, if anything catastrophic happens, I want to know that my family and I are financially safe and sound. That is really critical. Some key takeaways. Hurricane Milton, yes, it was traumatic. It was a lot. It was scary. It was one of the worst storms that we've seen in a very long time, but it was an absolute wake-up call, especially if you own a company, if you are a small business owner. It was a wake-up call, especially for me. But it opened my eyes to the importance of actively working to generate various streams of passive income. And it really also emphasized the importance of doing so. It's not something that I plan on delaying any longer. I've been kind of, playing around with, oh yeah, working on this course, it'll be ready soon and so forth. No, this course is going to be ready a lot quicker than what I had initially mapped out, just because of the urgency that Milton has created. And in wrapping up, feel free to share your experience as well. Drop your feedback in the comments. For those of you who also went through Hurricane Milton, many of you also dealt with Helene and Milton like we did. And, you're having to bounce back as well. Or maybe some more of you have gone through similar experiences, catastrophic experiences, natural disasters, where you have had to rebuild, where you've had to make some adjustments to your business model, or overall you made a life-changing decision. Drop your feedback in the comments and let me know what was that like for you? How did it feel? What did you do? And how did it pave the way for success for you? In addition to that, if you in fact enjoyed this video, and if you want to, of course, stay connected, I would love for you to stay connected with me. And I want to stay connected with you. So make sure that you hit subscribe and then turn on the alerts so that you'll get an opportunity to see when I posted new videos and new content. And also, if you sat back and relaxed and chilled and enjoyed the video, please feel free to hit that like button. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me log off before the train starts making the noise. Y'all know I don't live too far from the train track, and the trains interrupted my videos before. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.